lunch, but I think the suburbs are eating your lunch. And what about household density? You used to have the density to support your retail districts, and now if you look, that kind of, it's blue on my computer, but it looks gray here. That's pretty much the household density. There's nothing real high density until you get right into the core here, where it gets a little more purple. So you've actually lost somewhere between 50,000 and 60,000 households, and the density has declined to suburban levels from your original level. So the result is disinvestment in many areas. The brown represents, and I wasn't able to separate out things like parks, because there's 183,000 records and I couldn't go through each one to eliminate the ones that didn't fit. However, in general, if you look at this, and it's on a much larger scale, it shows the parcels where the improvement value is from 0 to 1/2 of the land value. Meaning that either it's vacant, or the best that the brown areas are showing is that the buildings are only worth half of the land. Now, a typical house in good repair is worth 2 to 3 times the land it sits on. So we could say, oh my gosh, that's terrible, but given what I've seen in your neighborhoods, there's a very interesting thing happening here. You have houses that are indestructible. They're beautiful. You have brick and stone and high quality construction, the like of which nobody could even afford to do anymore. And I think what this is a guide that can be used to go out and find redevelopment or rehab opportunity sites. And that's a great thing. So, what is economic development? Well, some people say it's job creation. The people who disagree with this definition of job creation are the people who give you jobs, employers. What they want, if they can do the same work and make a better profit by hiring half the number of people, that's exactly what they do. And they consider that to be economic development. And to some extent, they're right. So maybe it's putting in industrial parks or office parks. Well, that used to be an idea, but those classifications are changing so much that that really doesn't attract anybody very much anymore. Especially in the modern era. I'll talk about that. So my definition, it's the creation of community conditions that foster business productivity and growth. That's what economic development is, fostering productivity and growth. And what does that mean? Well, what fosters productivity? There are some traditional things. If you are in the business of selling coal, then you probably want to be somewhere near a coal mine or a train line. If you make glass, you want to be near a pile of sand or somewhere where you can get the sand. But most businesses aren't like that. Then there's the available infrastructure and space. That's important, but most places have that. Community and education partners. That's really important because employers want to know that they have an educated workforce, but also that they have places to send people back for training as the technology changes so that they don't lose pace against their competition. A ready labor force close to work. That's kind of obvious. And this is really important for you guys, a community that attracts and retains the labor force. Well, why is that so important in the current context? It's because you haven't been doing that. When you have a loss of over 200,000 people in population, you're not retaining them. So, what are the community attributes that help retain the labor force? Proximity to retail, entertainment, and services, a range of recreation options, because people want to do that, educational infrastructure for all ages, not just kids, but also adults, so that they can get up to that next rung of expertise. And increasingly, even in families, you have to have some technical expertise. Factories, you have to have some technical expertise just to run the equipment. Also, natural and urban public open spaces, and you have great parks and open spaces here. And here's something you have that is impossible for the suburbs to duplicate: community authenticity and identity. You have an amazing set of neighborhoods here. And then the last thing is the perception of public safety. People won't remain where they think it's not safe. So, meeting these criteria, most of Cincinnati's neighborhoods have most of these attributes, but for some there is a perception of a lack of safety. People have told me that they think maybe the primary and secondary schools are lackluster because a lot of the people they know are sending their kids to private schools. Dysfunctional retail districts. Your Main Street districts in a lot of the neighborhoods have declined, and they're not working to support people. So people are having to get in their cars and go out to the strip and drive to that darn big grocery store, and the hassle. And then a kind of a lack of walkable environment in some of the corridors that go straight through the center of their communities. Now, in line with that, that regional employment, that map I showed with all that stuff out in the boonies, is driving transportation decisions by the state and locally toward higher speed corridors, because there are a lot of people to move every day. Every day you have something like over 80,000 people that come into the city, and over 60,000 people, if I remember correctly, that leave the city for employment. There's a lot of back and forth driving because nobody seems to live where they work.